Hello and welcome to my movie review of Monster Hunter 2020, because I watched it so you don't have to. Now, I have a little table of pros and cons, and as you can see, the tiny half of the table is the pros, because there was a lot of cons with Monster Hunter. I'm not saying that because of how they did Resident Evil, because it's the same director and leading actress. Also, I've never seen any of the Resident Evil movies, so that I went in not knowing how much they screwed up the Resident Evil franchise. I also never played any Resident Evil games, but I did play Monster Hunter World, and I have seen other Monster Hunter games because of my roommate Liam, who is playing one right now. But anyways, let me get into the pros, and then we'll lead into the cons, and I'll bring up the pros again, and I'll tell you what I think about this movie. Visual effects are phenomenal. Their daytime shots look fucking realistic. You knew that they put their budget into the daytime shots. And I'll get back to that later on in the cons. Costume design is amazing. I imagine this is what Monster Hunter costumes and armor that would look like in live action. So there's another plus. Weapon design is cool. Again, pretty faithful based off what I've played and seen. And also the best character is the cat. Now we're on to cons. So one con is it has weird opposites with its visual effects. Usually the visual effects, your nighttime shots look great because you can hide the mistakes in the darkness. That's why most of Jurassic Park's visual effects actually hold up, because most of them are shot in dark areas like the kitchen and that, or at night. But tell me why one monster, the Rathalos, looks which is in two scenes right next to each other, back to back. One in nighttime, one in day. Why does the Rathalos look like shit at night and look fucking phenomenal in the day? Now, to continue with cons, and yes, I time traveled. No, I did not just delay the rest of this video. The movie is made for Monster Hunter fans, not for the general public, and usually that will work, but you kind of have to blend the two for it to actually be a great film. For example, I only knew of, I think, 2 monsters from Monster Hunter World. I think it's the Black Diablos and the Rathalos. There's 2 other monsters that were from Monster Hunter 4 that I had no idea who they were, because no one gave me a name in that. I don't know what to call them. I call these spider scorpions, and the Monster Hunter community is probably pissed off. But that's literally all I could say, because I don't know them. My roommate Liam knows them, but I don't. And so it helped if they threw the audience a bone, because they're trying to market this towards everyone, not just the Monster Hunter fan base. Because let me tell you, the Monster Hunter fan base probably wouldn't get them a sequel. It's not nothing against the fan base. It's just how studios probably think, most likely. Another problem is this weird pacing. Monster Hunter has wasted no time getting to the Monster Hunter world. Like in the first 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes, our main characters get sent to the Monster Hunter world. Why did you have to use that trope? You couldn't have just made the movie in the Monster Hunter world? Why do we have to use the portal to their world? Cliche bullshit. I fucking hate it. But then after that, it slows down a bit to the point where I have no idea when the second act starts, or when the third act starts, or where the first act ended. To be honest, I would have been fine. And here's some spoilers. If the movie finished up where the Artemis and the Hunter kill the Black Diablos, they traverse through the desert and get to the more tropical kind of Monster Hunter world setting for the movie, and then maybe we see final shot Rathalos appears, and it just sets up next one. We set up stakes for the next one, and that, so on and so forth. I think that would have been a great ending. However, somewhere in that is actually the start of the second act, and we're like a half hour away from the third act, the final battle between the Rathalos and Artemis and all them. And I like to pride myself in thinking I know a good story, like story beats. When your first act ended, we're in the second act. Third act starts now, so on and so forth. I mean, I kind of went to school for this. I hope I know. But this one, I had no idea where any of the acts started or ended. The only one I knew of is where the first act started, which is about 5 minutes into the film, because we have to establish the Monster Hunter world and also how the Hunter is stranded. The whole army group is bullshit and was not needed. So we all seen the trailer. We all seen these characters and that. I mean, they really heavily showed the beginning of that film, and the reason why is because these main characters here are all dead by the 20-minute mark. I get it. They're fish out of water. This whole story is a fish out of water scenario. I probably wouldn't have survived 20 minutes into that movie either. But here's the thing. You make it sound like these guys are great at their jobs, which is being in the army and fighting and surviving. You can't just kill them off in the first 20 minutes. The movie would have worked better if it was, I'm going to keep saying, if it was just set in Monster Hunter World, the Artemis was one of the hunters, everyone spoke English, and that, so that we didn't have this weird dynamic of trying to translate the hunter and Artemis to figure out that they are understanding each other, and maybe the army group could have been other hunters that Artemis was friends with, and we just saw like quests now. It could have been cool, it could have been great, guys, come on. But no, we wanted the cliche going to we go to their world, they come to our world type shit. Tones collide. This movie wants to be like a kind of like a suspense, thriller, action, comedy. All those kind of don't work. If they wanted to go for action comedy, you could have done that. It could have worked. If you wanted to go for action horror, that would have worked too. But you can't have horror action comedy. It just doesn't work. For example, there's a gross body horror scene in it where one of Artemis's team members has like fucking egg sacs on his side, and then a bunch of the spider scorpions babies come out and start eating him and that, and I nearly puked. Or it's pretty hard to make me puke in a movie or for watching a movie, but this one was because I was not expecting body horror in Monster Hunter. Come on, guys, what the fuck? Also the fact that like we just had this intense action moment, and then we realized Ron Perlman can speak English, and then he just fucking the Artemis, and you're like, what? Why? Can she get a fucking break? I was saying that out loud a couple times. It's a weird fish out of water story. That's also one of my complaints for it. So you know how fish out of water stories, we're supposed to be looking through the eyes of the main character to kind of start understanding, piecing together how the story works, how the world building is, what is going on. And that's usually great storytelling. There's a whole franchise that's basically a fish out of water story for about half of it, or actually most of it, because the main character was learning about the magical world of Harry Potter. Harry Potter is technically you could classify as a fish out of water story. Harry is brand new to this. Hermione understands it before Harry, and Ron has lived it his whole life. Harry is a fish out of water. He lived in the Muggle world for 11 years before being introduced to anything magical. He has no idea what's going on, and we watch these movies through the eyes of Harry to understand what is going on, and we are as wowed as he is because he is also as wowed as we are. But that movie decides to go that route, but also Artemis is picking it up really fast. I don't know about you, but it'd take me more than a couple days to really grasp what the hell's going on. Or actually, maybe just one conversation with Ron Perlman. I'm not saying there aren't people that could grasp it, but when you're doing a fish out of water story, you kind of want that help of the characters taking some time to understand it, because the audience has to take time to understand what the hell's going on. But again, when you make a movie specifically for a fan base, it's hard for the general public to also understanding of what's going on. So it's basically like a fish out of water story where the fish actually starts to learn how to breathe air really fast, and not over millions of years till we get to the point where I'm paying taxes. What the fuck, fish? But anyways, what's my recommendation for this? I would say to not go my route and buy the 4K. It's in my habit now to buy the 4K movies if I can find them. But I would just buy a Blu-ray, like a normal Blu-ray of this, and check it out. It's still kind of entertaining. And that I'm just gonna say, if you like big monster fights between humans and monsters, it's got it. There's also some character moments. I think one of my favorite character moments is Artemis learning about the little statues that Hunter carries around, which is statues of his deceased family, and they're like having this communication where even though they both can't speak each other's languages, they're understanding I understand the feeling of missing your family in that. And if you just want to skip this movie, I'm pretty sure they put this movie in the quest, or as a quest when you finish the New World quest line in Monster Hunter World, so why don't you just go play that instead. But otherwise, just get it on Blu-ray, or if you have a streaming service that will stream it there and watch it once. I'm pretty sure I'll probably watch it once, unless someone goes like, oh, you have Monster Hunter, can we watch it? I'll go like, I'll watch it with you to be your support, your moral support. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you watched Monster Hunter 2020. What did you think of that movie? If you had to make me use a numerical scale on like this scale where I just said buy it on Blu-ray or stream it, 5 out of 10. But anyways, links to all my social media in the description below if you want to follow it. I'm thinking of trying to post more on Instagram and Twitter and that. I'm going to be posting about the Ben 10 Omniverse video a little bit. I'm going to actually start working on it. I just finished the script for it, so it's coming. So stay tuned for that. Until next video, I'll see you in the future. Bye guys.